Hello and welcome back to NPA Discovery. Today, we're diving into the life of Dennis Wilson, the notorious wild child of the Beach Boys, and an artist whose life mirrored the waves he loved so dearly. Dennis Wilson was more than just a drummer in a band, he was the heart and soul of one of America's most iconic groups. His story is one of intense highs, heartbreaking lows, and an enduring love for music, the ocean, and the pursuit of freedom. Dennis Carl Wilson was born on December 4, 1944, in Inglewood, California, to Murray and Audrey Wilson. Dennis was the middle child, with his brothers Brian and Carl forming what would become a legendary musical trio. While Brian had an ear for harmonies and Carl was the instrumental heart of the band, Dennis had something unique, an untamed spirit. From a young age, he was passionate about surfing and the California lifestyle, living fast and fearlessly. He didn't care much for school or convention, preferring the beach to the classroom, the waves to words. It's a bit ironic, given that the Beach Boys' sound was shaped by Brian's innovative production style and Carl's guitar. Dennis wasn't necessarily the best musician in the family. In fact, he was the only true surfer in a surf rock band. But Dennis brought authenticity, and his image became a driving force behind their brand. The beach was his sanctuary, and that carefree, sun-soaked attitude was something he carried through every phase of his life. The Beach Boys officially came together in 1961, with Dennis on drums, Brian on bass and vocals, Carl on guitar, and cousin Mike Love on vocals. While Brian took charge as the band's primary songwriter and producer, Dennis was a natural performer, embodying the youthful energy that resonated with fans. Although he wasn't a prolific songwriter at first, Dennis's presence and charisma were indispensable to the group. The band's first big hit, Surfin', captured Dennis's lifestyle, which he lived to the fullest, and fans adored it. As the band's fame grew, they became the face of California culture and American music, releasing iconic albums like Surfin', USA Little Deuce Coupe, and All Summer Long. However, as their popularity soared, so did tensions within the band. Brian's drive for perfection often led to him taking the reins, leaving Dennis with less creative input than he might have liked. But he found ways to channel his creativity elsewhere. One of the darker chapters of Dennis's life came in 1968 when he crossed paths with none other than Charles Manson. Dennis, who loved a good party and had an open-door policy with friends and strangers alike, met Manson through a couple of young women he'd picked up hitchhiking. Before long, Manson and his family were living in Dennis's house, a situation that grew more bizarre and dangerous over time. Initially, Dennis was intrigued by Manson's persona, especially his aspirations to be a musician. Dennis even introduced Manson to record producer Terry Melcher, hoping to help him break into the music industry. But as Manson's behavior became more erratic, Dennis began to see the danger. After the infamous Tate LaBianca murders in 1969, Dennis distanced himself, haunted by the connection. He later said that the experience had left him deeply troubled and affected by the senseless violence. Dennis the songwriter. By the late 1960s, Dennis was finding his voice as a songwriter. As the Beach Boys evolved musically with albums like Pet Sounds and Smile, Dennis began to explore his own sound. His drumming grew more nuanced, and he began writing songs that captured his raw emotional state. His contributions on albums like Sunflower and Surf's Up were unlike anything his brothers were producing. In 1970, Dennis wrote Forever, a ballad that's widely regarded as one of the Beach Boys' most beautiful songs. The track showcased his ability to capture vulnerability and longing in his music, a stark contrast to the sunny tunes the band was known for. Dennis's solo work showed a depth and sensitivity that few fans had seen before, with themes of love, heartbreak, and the search for inner peace. Personal struggles and substance abuse. Throughout his life, Dennis was known for his impulsive and often self-destructive behavior. His relationships were tumultuous. He had a total of 5 marriages, each marked by passion and volatility. His romance with actress Karen Lamb, whom he married and divorced twice, epitomized this cycle of intensity and chaos. Dennis struggled with alcohol and drugs, which strained his relationships with family and friends. His dependence on substances often spiraled out of control, leaving those closest to him worried about his well-being. The pressures of fame and inner turmoil took a toll on his health, leading to arrests, injuries, and declining physical condition. By the late 1970s, Dennis's life was riddled with turmoil. Although he continued to create music, including his 1977 solo album, Pacific Ocean Blue, he was fighting a losing battle with addiction. Pacific Ocean Blue was Dennis's crowning achievement and a testament to his raw talent. Released in 1977, it was unlike anything the Beach Boys had ever produced, dark, introspective, and deeply personal. Songs like River Song and Dreamer painted a portrait of a man wrestling with inner demons but still longing for peace. Critics praised the album for its depth and originality, though it never achieved commercial success during Dennis's lifetime. Pacific Ocean Blue revealed Dennis as a visionary, proving he was more than just the wild child of the Beach Boys. In many ways, the album mirrored Dennis's life, beautiful, complicated, and tragic. The raw honesty and emotional weight of the album have garnered it a cult following over the years, and today it's considered one of the most underrated solo albums of any Beach Boys member. The final years and tragic end. By the early 1980s, Dennis was struggling financially, and his health was in steady decline. His relationships were fractured, and his substance abuse issues had worsened. He was often homeless, staying with friends or living out of hotels. The once glamorous life of a beach boy had become a tragic shadow of itself. In late 1983, Dennis was living aboard a friend's boat in Marina del Rey, California. On December 28, after diving into the water to retrieve items he had thrown overboard, Dennis Wilson drowned at the age of 39. His untimely death shocked fans, leaving a legacy that was both celebrated and mourned. Dennis was buried at sea, fittingly, as the ocean was his sanctuary and solace throughout his life. Legacy. Today, Dennis Wilson is remembered not only as the charismatic beach boy who loved surfing and the ocean but as a talented musician who struggled to find peace. His music, especially Pacific Ocean Blue, continues to resonate with fans who see it as a window into his complex soul. Dennis may not have been the driving creative force behind the Beach Boys, but his contributions and passion left a lasting impact. Dennis Wilson was an artist who lived by his own rules, for better or worse. He was raw, untamed, and true to himself until the end. His life may have been marred by struggles, but his spirit shines through in the music he left behind. Dennis Wilson was the beach boy who loved the waves, even as he struggled to find his own calm amidst the storm. Despite his turmoil, Dennis Wilson carved a unique place in rock history, one that resonates deeply with fans who see the authenticity he brought to the music world. Dennis was that rare figure who let himself be vulnerable and wasn't afraid to share his imperfections, both on stage and in life. His passion for music and the sea, his often turbulent relationships, and his journey through fame, addiction, and redemption paint a human portrait of a man constantly on a quest for meaning. His solo album, Pacific Ocean Blue, remains a testament to his artistry. For many fans, it embodies the raw emotional honesty that defined Dennis as an artist. Over time, it has grown to be a cult classic, with new generations discovering the beauty and depth of Dennis's music. Dennis Wilson's cultural influence. Dennis's life and music inspired countless artists and musicians who saw in him a soul unbound by convention, always seeking freedom. In a sense, he was an emblem of the California dream, a figure caught between light and darkness, his image becoming an archetype for the rebellious and unrestrained spirit of rock and roll. Despite the tragedies, his music and his story live on as symbols of resilience and artistic independence. Enduring memory. His story underscores the pressures of fame and the personal battles that can accompany it, even for those who seem larger than life. Dennis Wilson's life, marked by love, loss, and loyalty to his passions, serves as a reminder of the power and consequences of living with intense authenticity. Final words. Thank you for joining us in remembering Dennis Wilson, a man who was more than just a musician. He was a person with a fierce love for life, someone who loved deeply and fell hard. His legacy is one of enduring music and unforgettable charisma, a spirit tied to the ocean that will always belong to the waves.